Ready, Rock. All right, you guys ready to roll? Here we go. All right, the time is 1:30 PM. I hereby call the December 13th, 2023 meeting of the Area Board of Zoning and Appeals to order. We have 5 members present, 1 on Zoom from a 7-member board. If you feel your petition needs to be held by or heard by the full board, please let the staff member know now. Do not wait till your petition, please. And we will table your petition until the next meeting when more board members are in attendance. We will first ask the public for comment sitting in the chambers and then call on those attending remotely. I cannot talk today. If a member of the public attending remotely wishes to participate in the public comment portion of the meeting, they should indicate this by using the raise hand function in Zoom and or by messaging the host in the chat function. Please clearly state your name and address for the record. Board members, please state your name when making a motion in a second. Lastly, please silence your cell phones to do not disturb the meeting, please. Can we have roll call?
Mr. Tavernier,
Here.
Mr. Hawley,
Here.
Mr. Byers,
Here.
Mr. Veldman, Mr. Ritzma,
Here.
Mr. Roush,
Here.
Mr. Schaefer.
Here. Okay.
Petition number 1, location 21567 Ireland Road, Indiana Conference of the United Missionary Church, care of Hillside Missionary. Requested action, variance from section 154.378 to allow for a maximum of 2 freestanding signs where 1 would be permitted. Zoning R single family district, county.
Good afternoon. This is Carl Brown Grimm, Area Plan Commission staff. So the petitioner, Hillside Missionary Church, is seeking a variance to allow for 2 freestanding signs. The church is located on the north side of Ireland Road, just west of Locust Road. The entire area is zoned and used as residential properties. There are some industrial uses found east, about half a mile within the jurisdiction of the city of South Bend. Here's the church, looking at Ireland Road. The current sign there, it's important to note the reason the petitioner is seeking the variance is due to the multiple organizations that are located within the church building. You can see each of their signs here. That's looking east down Ireland and looking west. Here's a rendering provided by the petitioner of what the signs will look like. The yard signs, I believe, will be removed that you can see in this picture, and it'll be those 2 freestanding signs there. Here are the renderings of the signs with each of their dimensions. You should note that combined, the area of the signs is less than 64 square feet, which is the maximum permitted size of the district. And they do meet the 8-foot height requirement. Looking at our state law criteria, approval will likely not be injurious. The signs are proposed to meet the required setback from Ireland Road, and they will be further set back than the current sign is. Additionally, the signs will be smaller than the original sign and will not pose a danger to nearby drivers or residents. However, staff does feel the use and value of surrounding properties may be adversely affected by approving both signs, given the character of the surrounding area. Additional signs in the requested manner are typically found in commercial or non-residential properties. And given the nearest non-residential use is nearly 2,500 feet away, allowing that additional sign may dilute the residential character of this immediate area. And finally, staff does not believe there to be practical difficulties in this case. This is mainly due to what I described earlier. Both signs that were submitted are less than the maximum permitted 64 square feet and 8 feet in height. So the petitioner likely could be able to combine both into 1 sign and still fit within the confines of the ordinance. So staff does recommend denial based on criteria 2 and 3, and I would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Anybody got anything? No?
All
right.
This is Josh Fisher with Hillside Missionary Church.
Hey, hang on 1 second, man. I was just getting ready to get there.
Okay.
Got anything? No. All right. Now I need your name and your address, please, first.
Yep, my name is Josh Fisher. My address is 59910 Myrtle Road, South Bend, Indiana, 46614.
Okay, do you have anything to add to what Carl staff described?
Yeah, hi. Well, thanks so much for considering this. I was hoping to be there in person with you guys. I'm unfortunately feeling a little under the weather today, so I thought it'd be better to join via Zoom. But I just wanted to add, one of our big things is that we've taken in several different ministries. So you'll notice Josiah White's is right there on the top of that additional sign we'd like to add. They're a foster agency. They've provided a home for over 75 kids right now. That's just their current caseload. That's not over the time they've been with us. And so one of the things that as we look at these different things, a foster closet is one of our ministries. There's a lot of people from the public that are coming. So that foster closet is a separate building on our property where we take in clothing and we give them out for free to foster kids and foster families. And so there's a lot of people from the public, and it's very confusing when they see our sign only. And so you'll notice Josiah White's is kind of temporary tacked on to our current monument sign. Thank you for showing that. We would like to have that additional sign just to add clarity for the public. We have a lot of people coming in during the week. And with those yard signs, it does add some clarity, but it's very messy. And so we thought by adding this additional sign, we could actually clean up our space a lot better, make it look a lot neater. We're going to landscape around the whole thing and just make the thing look really, really nice, and incorporate even the utility pole there. And so that'll clean up the space and just make it look a lot nicer for the surrounding area.
Sir, what's your capacity with the church?
What do you mean by capacity?
Well, you didn't tell us your address, but what do you have to do with the church?
I'm the senior
Are
pastor.
you the minister?
I am. Yeah, I'm the senior pastor at the church.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions?
Sir, staff mentioned that both signs could theoretically be combined into one sign. Did you have any thoughts about that option, and you'd still be within the requirements of the ordinance?
We did consider that. We think it brings a lot more clarity for people as they're coming in, because we are the main entity within the building, and then we lease out some space to those other organizations. The foster closet is our ministry, but for Josiah White's and right now Outreach, they lease some of our space. And so we just thought it added a lot of clarity for those who are coming to this building during the week. And it would just help with that. Now, I know that we could tack on these ones below our proposed sign that we would like right there for Hillside Missionary Church. We could put them below there. But in my opinion, that looks a lot more convoluted and messy. This second sign makes it look a lot nicer for the surrounding area.
Carl?
Yeah.
The gentleman that just spoke, was he aware that you recommended denial?
When we discussed the sign, I did mention that it could be done under the confines of the ordinance, and I thought that a variance may be difficult in that case.
The reason I ask is because you did mention that it adversely affects the value of surrounding properties. And I wondered if the church did go to the neighbors and ask them or get any kind of a recommendation from the, either good or bad, from the neighborhood. Do you know of anything like that?
I'm not sure if that happened or not, no.
We
That,
did- Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Pardon?
I was gonna say that, that reasoning was more based on like sort of an analysis of the surrounding zoning and uses.
Okay, thank you.
We have not. Yeah, we have not gone to our neighbors, but we would be willing to do so. We have very good relationships with all of them, and in fact, even some of them are a part of our church family. So we'd be more than happy to do that if you guys would like us to.
Thank you.
Mr. Fisher, you indicated that the Foster Closet was located in a separate building on your site.
That's correct. Yeah.
Is there a sign on that building identifying that the Foster Closet is located there?
Yes, there is.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So Tom, that was one of the questions I was gonna ask, right? So what happens if this Josiah White's decides that they need to find a different building? They need a bigger space or you know, for some reason they close down and then this right now outreach, you know, what happens if those two other companies decide to go somewhere else? And now you're stuck with this big sign on the side of the of your original sign or your new sign, right? And now you're
Yeah.
stuck with all of this extra space and something that could have gone underneath the first sign. What are your plans for that?
Yeah, that's a great question, and thank you for bringing that up. I didn't initially. One of the things that played into this thought is if we ever do lose these tenants, which more than likely over the course of time will happen, this is something easy to take down. So these are actually, if you go back to the rendering, those are actually just treated 4x4 posts. The second sign, our sign is all stainless steel. It's very durable. It's meant to be around for decades. But this sign, the second one that we would like to add, is very easy to take down. So that could be taken down. I mean, one person could take that down in a couple of hours without a problem.
Okay, but what are you gonna do with the Foster Closet sign then? Where do you plan on putting that?
Well, in the case of if we lose Josiah White's and Right Now Outreach, we could just take the Foster Closet sign and put it below our current sign, or the sign that we would like to have, the stainless steel one. If we still had two of those entities around, it would be nice to keep the second sign though.
All right, thank you. You guys got any more questions? No? Lance,
Well, hold
no
on,
questions?
TJ.
Yep. Well,
Sir, can you just kind of clarify for me what you're justifying as your practical difficulty in needing two freestanding signs?
Yeah, basically, if we were to put all of these entities into one sign, it looks very convoluted. And if we were to separate them, it just adds a lot of clarity for people coming in from the community. Say if they're coming to the Foster Closet, more than likely they've never been on our property before. If they did see it as a separate sign, in our minds, it just makes it a lot easier to come and find what they need much easier. We have a lot of phone calls during the week to our office, and people will say, "Hey, I just drove by. Is it at Hillside Missionary Church?" And you know, it's just very confusing for people. And so that's why we thought if we were to add this second sign, it would just add a lot of clarity for the community.
And where are you planning to, how far back are you planning to, the setback for the placement of these signs, how far back from the right of way are you putting these, so it's not obstructing the view of those leaving the parking lot?
Yeah, absolutely. So the sign that's made out of stainless steel would replace our current sign. So I believe that's maybe 10 to 15 feet, something like that from the road. So that just replaces our current sign. So having it open like that actually adds to the visibility because people can see underneath the sign. And then the additional sign that we would like to add would be 2 feet closer to the building and further away from the road. So it
okay.
actually adds with the visual aspect of drivers.
And you mentioned you are going to be adding landscaping below it, foundational landscaping?
Yes, we will. We're going to landscape the whole thing and make it very nice and have exterior lighting.
Thank you. Sure, that's all my questions.
Donnie nailed it for me. I'm good.
all right. All right, thanks, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go, we'll open it up to the public. Is there anybody that would like to speak in favor of this petition? Please step forward. See none. Any on Zoom? Seeing none. Is there anybody that would like to speak against this petition? Please step forward. Seeing none. Any on Zoom? Seeing none, the public portion is now closed. Is there anything else, or I'll take a motion?
Tom Byers, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to make a recommendation for denial in accordance with the staff recommendations and findings of fact. I don't think there are unique circumstances that exist in this particular situation that the third sign could actually be added to the existing sign. And you know, had it not been in a residential and or agricultural area, I might view it differently, but I think given the nature of the land uses in the area, I'm going to recommend denial.
Lance Roush, second.
Motion and a second.
Mr. Hallway,
No.
Mr. Ritzma,
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer,
No.
Mr. Byers,
Yes.
Mr. Roush,
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier.
Man, so listen, the only problem that I have with this is that the potential, I understand they're 4x4s. I understand that there's something that can be taken down. I just don't see the need for a secondary sign, so I'm gonna vote yes, and I apologize for that, but I just don't see it. So based on the testimony presented here today, the Area Board of Zoning Appeals, after careful consideration, denies your variance and will issue written findings of the facts. Thank you.
Petition number 2, location 17510 Stony Point Road. Owner Sharif and Allison Najim. Requested action, variance from section 154.107 sub C 2 to allow for a 7-foot side yard west setback where 8 foot is permitted for a proposed garage addition. Zoning R single family district, county.
Good afternoon, Farial Sharif, Area Plan Commission staff. The petitioner is seeking a side setback variance for an addition to their garage. On site is a single family home in the Farmington Square subdivision in Granger. Here is the home on site and the existing garage. All right, here's a slightly better view of where the addition would go. And one more view of the house. Okay, here's the site plan showing the proposed addition to the west side of the house. They're proposing a 34x12 addition with a distance of 7 feet to the side property line. Our ordinance requires an 8-foot side setback for a lot over 12,000 square feet. This lot is about 12,630 square feet with a 15-foot drainage and utility easement in the rear. This building sketch just shows the 2 stories of the house and showing again where they're proposing that garage. You can see the current garage is 22 by 22 feet. All right, looking at state law criteria, Staff is recommending approval. Approving this variance to allow the addition would not be injurious to the health, safety, or general welfare. We found that many of the surrounding properties have similar structures or additions that are already quite close to or within the 8-foot setback. For use and value, as proposed, the addition will still leave 7 feet from the west property line, which would give sufficient space for the property owners to navigate around the garage without interfering with the neighbor's property. Finally, staff does find practical difficulties in the strict application. This lot is only slightly over 12,000 square feet and is slightly narrower than the lots nearby. It is close in size to one that would have been permitted a 6-foot side setback by right. Additionally, there is a 15-foot drainage easement on the back line of the property, and it wouldn't really be practical to extend it more to the rear, as it would go too close to that easement and not allow a lot of room to navigate in the backyard or put additional structures. For these reasons, staff recommends approval of the variance as shown and can take any questions.
Questions? No? Lance, I'm just gonna let you pipe up if you have a question, okay? So, is the petitioner present? Name and address, if you got anything to add, and then you got 10 minutes. Up to the podium. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Allison Nijam. This is my husband Sharif. And our address is 17510 Stony Point Road in Granger. And we are hoping to add on to our current garage as part of a general kind of process of expanding our house to accommodate my mother-in-law who has Alzheimer's to move in with us. Our driveway is quite steep, so it's a little bit dangerous for us to have her getting in and out of cars on our driveway. So we'd like to have this extra driveway space or garage space to be able to pull into the garage, store more cars, kind of just have more peace entering and exiting our home. We also have quite a few children with quite a few vehicles. We have 4 kids, 2 and almost 3 are driving. So we think it'll be generally an improvement to the appearance of our home to have more of them in an enclosed garage instead of parked on what is currently kind of like a pad, a driveway pad next to our house. So we think this project will generally be an improvement as well as useful to our family.
And we did discuss it with our neighbor to the west, and she gave verbal approval and support of the project.
Yeah. You guys got any questions? Oh, all right, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, we'll open it up to the public. Is there anybody who would like to speak in favor of this petition? Please step forward. I need your name and address, please.
My name is Christy Helquist. My address is 17494 Stony Point Road, Granger 46530. I think that their proposed garage would be a big improvement. I'm the next door neighbor on the east side, not the garage side.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak in favor of this petition? Please step forward. See none. Any on Zoom? See none. Is there anybody that would like to speak against this petition? Please step forward. See none. Any on Zoom? See none. Public portion is now closed. You guys got anything else you want to talk about or take a motion?
Bob Hawley, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the variance as requested for the property located at 17510 Stony Point Road.
Donnie Ritzmel, second.
Mr. Byers,
Yes.
Mr. Roush,
Sleep.
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mr. Ritzma,
Yes.
Mr. Holly,
Yeah,
Mr. Tavernier.
Yes, based on testimony presented here today, the Area Board of Zoning Appeals, after careful consideration, grants your variance and will issue written findings of the facts. Thank you. You guys don't have to stay if you don't want to.
Petition number 24400 Fillmore Road. Owner Guadalupe J. and Rosa Arivalo. Requested action, variance from section 154.070 sub C 2D1A to allow for a 6-foot fence with open space equal to or less than 70% and solid masonry columns where a maximum height of 36 inches is permitted in the front yard north. Zoning R single family district county and C commercial district county.
Fariel Sharif, Area Plan Commission staff. The petition we're looking at here is for a fence off Fillmore Road near where the bypass goes over it. I'll start by giving a bit of background on the property. This is a split zone parcel that is zoned C commercial on the front half and residential in the back. This is the result of a 1981 rezoning for office space and a nursery. That rezoning did tie it to a final site plan that was never fully implemented. There were subsequent attempts to rezone the property that were not successful, most recently in 2005. Currently, there is a non-conforming single-family home on the portion of the lot that is commercially zoned. And directly to the east abutting it is an NDOT buffer strip. All right, the building department red tagged a masonry fence being built on the front line of this property, so where the commercial zoning is. It was then brought to our attention that the pillars of this fence were 6 feet tall. Our ordinance allows 3-foot fences in the front yard where the open space is equal to or less than 70%. So we advise the property owners that a variance would be necessary for the fence height. After some communication with the petitioners, they indicated that they had been working on the fence themselves. Basically, and this is my understanding, you may wish to clarify it further, but they're hoping to install iron bars in between each of the 6-foot tall brick columns. There's about 12 feet in between each column. So the brick pillars will be close to as they're shown here, and the iron bars will be in between. There are actually 2 drives onto this lot, one on each side of the mailbox. They did indicate to me that they're hoping to put some kind of gate across the driveway at some point. Here's another picture looking down Fillmore Road. This is looking west down Fillmore Road toward the bypass going overhead, mostly single-family homes on this stretch of road. This is directly across the street from the property. And this is looking east down Fillmore, where you can see a church from their property just on the corner of Fillmore and Booker Avenue. So this is the final site plan that I referenced earlier from that 1981 rezoning. As I mentioned, this final site plan was never fully implemented. It was intended to accommodate a nursery. Because there have been no successful subsequent rezonings, this final site plan is still attached to the property. Thus, any modifications to the property that are approved through the variances requested today, if they are approved, should also be tied to requiring a subsequent rezoning to remove the final site plan and bring the property into conformance, or a minor modification to the final site plan, which can be approved administratively through our office within 6 months if the variance is approved. Here is the other half of that site plan. This was provided by the petitioner as a site plan. As you can see, there was a previous fence on the property that was actually closer to the road than the one they're proposing is. This one was much shorter and more open. Basically, it was just 2 horizontal white pickets. Finally, this is the rendering they did provide, kind of showing those iron bars as lines, I think. Okay. Looking at state law criteria, the approval will most likely not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. There was a fence there previously, and even with the increased height, it doesn't seem that it would block the clear sight area requirements. However, when we get to the other two criteria, it was harder to find evidence for staff to support the variance. There are not other fences in this area similar in character, and the fence will be much more prominent. Thus, there could be an effect on the use and value of the area adjacent. Staff finds a strict application would not result in practical difficulty. The property owners could build a smaller fence in the same spot that still provides a sense of privacy and security. In addition, other parts of the property are already fenced. There is an existing wooden fence that screens the backyard. For these reasons, staff is recommending denial of the variance and can take your questions.
The front part that is zoned commercial, is it still being used as an office?
I actually am not sure. I think they are making use of that commercial zoning to some extent, but they are definitely living in the single family home. And as I was looking at the use and history on this property, it's mostly been used just for the single family home.
Okay.
What made it non-conforming again? Did
The
you say that?
rezoning made it non-conforming, and then they never really implemented that rezoning. So, yeah.
So I'm piping in. Faryal, when you mention correcting the zoning, I would assume that would be back to residential. And would that be an administrative thing, or would it need to go to area plan?
So we have not actually discussed with the property owners this situation with the final site plan. We could do a rezoning, and that would have to go to area plan and go through the county council, and we could rezone all the way to residential, or we could just rezone to remove the final site plan. Or if we look at it and see that we could just do a minor modification, we haven't yet determined that that would be possible, but minor modifications can be approved administratively through our office, through the zoning administrator. Because we haven't really discussed it with the property owners, I don't think we've really determined what would be the best path forward. So if you guys do entertain approving this variance when we get to that, we would just request that you make it subject to a subsequent rezoning or minor modification. So say, or both. I don't know if you have anything to add
Perfect.
to that, Abby.
Good answer.
All right. You guys got anything else? You look like you got something to say.
I do. Brandy, could we request to table it until staff has that conversation with the petitioner?
You can table it to get more information. I guess that would qualify for more information. I'm not sure, but it sounds like it would be a requirement, whether it was stated or not, because it would be needed to bring the property into compliance. Something has to happen in order for the property to be compliant, one of those options, whether you make it a condition or not.
And just so you know, staff is recommending denial.
Right.
So
But even if that did happen, the fence would still need a variance. The masonry portions of it would still need, whether it was. commercial
Well,
or-
if we recommend, if they don't get the variance, they would have to
Remove it.
either reduce the fence height or
I
remove it.
understand. I'm
Yeah.
saying if we table it and you have this conversation, no matter what, they have to come back for the fence regardless of what they do, so.
Which I understand. I just,
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought maybe it'd just be useful to have that conversation first with the property owner, but
Not opposed. Okay, is the petitioner present? Name and address, and you'll have 10 minutes if you would, please.
My name is Rosa Arevalo. My address is 24400 Fillmore Road.
Do you have anything to add to anything that staff had?
No, nothing more.
Nothing?
No,
Okay.
only waiting for your decision.
You guys have any questions? Yeah. I got a
Is
couple
there,
questions.
is there a commercial operation operating out of the front part of the property?
It's my first time to listen that.
Do you have like a shop or something on the property? Like, are you guys operating a shop?
No. Only I live on the house. I have a business, but I have horses to race
Okay.
on the track. It's only what I have there.
Okay.
The work that we see there that's already been done, have you done that or did you hire a contractor to do that?
I don't hear that. Sorry, can you repeat for me?
So the masonry pillars and in that picture right there, everything that is done, did you do that personally or
My husband,
your husband
my
did it? So you didn't
husband, yeah.
hire it out?
no,
Do you know, did they dig down to put a footer underneath that stone?
yes,
They dug down past the frost line?
yeah. Yes,
And then between those pillars, as I understand it, you want to put what, metal rods, is that the way?
one fence,
And will they be the same height as how high is that pillar now, do you know?
no. I think it's 4 feet only. 4 or 5, no more.
I've driven by it, what I see there is done well.
Can you go over, well, you know what picture I'm talking about. Okay, so on this picture right here, it looks like there's a masonry wall that's going across there with two little like rabbit hole kind of things. What is that?
It's, yeah, lights, they're lights.
Can you speak into the microphone, please? We can hear you.
They're lights.
Lights.
Okay, but what?
Thank you.
What is this right here?
Yeah. Okay, when he do that, he thinking to put more more bricks. But later, when he know the prices, he think different.
Okay, so this portion right here is not.
It's not, no.
Okay, I have, and and at some point in time, you're wanting to put a gate across the
Yes,
driveway?
yes.
Okay. You guys got any more questions?
No.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. We'll open this up to the public. Is there anybody that would like to speak in favor of this petition? Please step forward.
Dan Caruso, 305 Compton Street, New Carlisle. Good to see everybody. I've got a couple of more, not that I like their idea, but I'm looking at these things as being there already. Is the horse not already out of the barn? They had to get permitting for that, for what we see on that screen, correct? You can't just go out there and throw bricks on the ground in front of your house without some sort of permitting when you're out by the road like that.
Ariel, was it red tagged by the building?
I apologize. Yeah, first of all, are you speaking in favor?
Yeah.
of the
Yes,
petition?
yes.
Okay, so yes, it was red tagged by the building department. So the way that process works is if the building department hears or sees of something being built in the county without a permit, they will put a red tag on the front door.
So there was no permit?
There was no permit pulled.
Then I withdraw my support then. Thank you.
Okay, is there anybody who would like to speak in favor of this petition? Please step forward. Seeing none, any on Zoom? Seeing none, is there anybody who would like to speak against this petition? Please step forward. Seeing none, any on Zoom? Seeing none, public portion is now closed.
I want a point of clarification again. The building department is the one that red tagged.
That's correct.
So was there anybody from the neighborhood that called?
No, not that I know of.
Okay.
One thing I also want to clarify, I believe it is 6 feet tall. The pillars, I'm 5 foot tall and they're taller than me. So.
Well.
Can we go back to the subsequent rezoning or minor modification?
All right. Yeah, what's your question?
Explain that to me again. Whether, if it's approved, what happens or what needs to happen?
All right, I'll go over it again real quick. We have a lot of properties in the county that were rezoned subject to final site plans.
Okay.
How we have traditionally done it is to rezone, when someone wants to make an improvement to a property that isn't in line with the final site plan on file, we've had them rezone to remove the site plan. Bob and DJ are on area plan. Bob, you've seen a number of these over the last few years. Well, I mean, and always. So because it is tied to a final site plan, the fence isn't shown. It would need to rezone to remove it because when it's subject to a final site plan, it's subject to all the improvements being shown. The other option that exists is when a determination can be made that it doesn't adversely affect properties in the surrounding area is how it reads. A property owner or petitioner can apply for a minor modification. We've used this for small accessory buildings or small additions to
Okay.
properties that have a site plan on file as part of the rezoning. So what Farial is saying is that the site plan will either need to be modified if staff can make a determination that it meets that criteria for a minor modification, or a rezone to remove the site plan.
When the staff makes a minor modification to a site plan, is that subject to a hearing or subject to notification of neighboring properties?
No, it's an administrative approval that doesn't require public notice.
Okay.
For something like the addition of a fence, it could be appropriate. Like I said previously, we've used it for small accessory buildings, small additions, and that kind of thing.
Well, that wasn't advocating you change your process. I just wanted to make sure I
Yeah.
understood what it was.
Another clarification. What we see there now is what they red tagged, or did they proceed with some more construction? Would you know that, or was it?
Shelley, could you click on the slide? So this is what they red tagged. And this is what I saw when I went out. I mean, it seems that they did add some bricks to cover the footers or the gray bricks. Yeah, I'm not sure too much what the timeline was.
Really questioned whoever wants to answer it. Is that part of the property, I'm assuming?
No, that's across the street.
Oh, that's across the street.
Mhm.
Okay. But you can't tell from
Yeah.
the picture and has the same address.
I got one more question for you. Do you mind coming back up here, please?
Okay.
So if my math's correct, right, with a brick being 2¼ inches tall, right?
Mhm.
And using a 1/4 inch mortar joint, right? I don't exactly know what it is. It puts us over 6 foot already, right? That's pure speculation on what I can see. Is there a cap going on top of these? Any kind of a stone cap?
Yes, I think only the stone, but is going down on the going 6 feet.
No, on the very top of the columns, is there any kind of a cement base or anything that's going on top of them? Cause I assume these are hollow, right?
Mhm.
Or have some sort of block inner framing, right?
You say on the top.
Yeah, on the very top.
Mhm. My husband say he put a think stone to put up the lights.
Okay. All right. That's all I needed. Thank you.
Okay.
Staff, this particular image here is better displayed on the final site plan. There is no fence shown, correct? When you go to this image, clearly it sees that there was some sort of an existing fence.
Yeah, so you're saying that on the final site plan, there's not a fence, but
There's not a fence, but when you go to the aerial, and I don't know the
Mm-hmm.
date of when these aerials were taken, but you can see a picket fence.
When I looked at historic aerials, it seems that fence was put in around 2016. I didn't see permits pulled for that fence either. So it
Which-
never really
That
came
also
to
would
our,
have put it in non-conforming.
yes, that never came to our attention. And I believe that also was probably there before the current property owners.
But
had
you
it.
said that was just a white.
Yeah, it was just a
Right.
white pick, like
That's what it
just
looks like in the
two,
image, yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
So did the current part,
Yeah, sorry, I apologize. We did not require fence permits at that time in 2016.
That's true.
Yeah, so
so I guess it-
I wouldn't have been able to tell.
Still had to file for a variance for the 6 foot.
Mhm.
But putting
Yeah.
a stone cap on top of that's gonna put it
Higher.
6'3".
I did, I communicated with their daughter Jennifer. And, I did ask her, is it 6 foot tall? I think a couple times, and she did tell me the highest point will be 6 foot tall. So that is what we were holding them to, I think.
I'm gonna download the Jeopardy song.
Figure out what the circles and the buildings are from.
We're here for a fence.
Yeah,
Landscape.
what I'm thinking is they got livestock on that property.
She said she had horses.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Okay. So you got a horse fence. Cause agricultural fences gotta be over 3 foot.
Let's focus on the masonry fence. Yeah.
Tom Byers, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to make a recommendation for denial based on the findings of fact as outlined in the staff report.
I'm gonna give it 15 more seconds and then it dies. Okay, it died.
Attorney Ritzman, I'll make a motion that we table the petition and for staff to work with the petitioner to request more information so we have clearer direction and to work on for an agreement to get into in compliance.
Bob Hawley, I'll second that.
Mr. Byers,
No.
Mr. Roush,
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mr. Hawley,
Yes.
Mr. Ritzma,
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier.
So before I answer, are we able to make stipulations for staff to talk to them about?
I mean, you're tabling it to get more information on your end and
We can
you
talk
gave
about this after
direction.
the fact.
And you gave the staff direction as to the information that you are looking for them to get, essentially.
Okay, well, I have a couple other things, but I don't think it's pertinent to this right this second, so I will vote yes. Staff will contact you guys, so based on the testimony presented here today, the Area Board of Zoning Appeals, after careful consideration, tables.
Yes,
their
it's just been
variance,
tabled to
and
get more information.
we'll issue written findings of those
Nope,
facts.
We're not gonna, there's no
Okay,
findings
there's
of
no
facts
findings of
today.
facts.
It's just, it's tabled to the next meeting to
Staff will
allow
reach-
for discussion.
Staff will reach out to you and kind of go over some things so that we can get some more information. And see you next month. Okay, thank you.
Petition number 4, location 53633 Ash Road. Owner Ash Road LLC. Requested action, variances, number 1 from section 154.092 sub C to allow a front lot frontage of 234 feet where 600 feet is required for a lot of 20 acres or more in area in a proposed subdivision. Zoning A agricultural district county and R single family district county.
This is Sean Klein, Area Plan Commission staff. So currently there is an 80-acre parcel on the west side of Ash Road that's going through a subdivision to create 27 buildable residential lots. As shown here, the existing parcel is split zoned, R single family and A agricultural district. There's about 20 acres agricultural and 60 acres of our single family. What the petitioner is proposing to do is to put the entirety of the agricultural acreage plus 3 acres of our single family property onto one lot with the 234 feet of frontage. And then all the other lots would be entirely our single family district. Since that new lot would be split zoned, when we do the subdivision, we would have to hold them to the more restrictive standards in terms of the lot area and lot frontage, hence why they need to get this variance from the 600 feet of road frontage required. Staff does recommend approval of the variance because in these circumstances, there's really no public benefit to allowing 600 feet of new road frontage to be provided for this portion of agricultural property that doesn't even have any frontage to begin with here. So some of you might remember this property. You previously granted lot area variances for the agricultural portion, because at that point they were proposing to put it on 2 separate lots, which did meet the required 200 feet of frontage for parcels under 20 acres. So it's here again, just because they kind of slightly adjusted the lot layouts. This is viewing the property from the other side of Ash Road. And then This is viewing the property from that stub street to the north from that subdivision up there. So this is what's being proposed. The lot in question is the one all the way to the rear, and then it comes out on the street north of the other rear property and has that 234 feet of road frontage. They are proposing, it's a 23-acre lot, but it's just one buildable lot, so it only contain one single family home. Turning to the state law criteria, staff does not believe that the approval will be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. As I mentioned, this agricultural land already doesn't have any frontage on its own. And the fact that it's contained on a parcel that is primarily residential really limits the possibility for future agricultural production there. And as it stands, it would kind of serve as a nice buffer between the residential subdivision and agriculturally zoned parcels to the west, which is preferable to rezoning the entire property to our single family and allowing more lots on the western end. Turning to the use and value of the area adjacent to the property not being affected in a substantially adverse manner. We believe this criteria is met because once again, this would be one large lot that would only allow for one additional single family home. And when we look at the strict application, resulting in practical difficulties, really there's nothing to justify requiring 600 feet of road frontage for the split zone property in this case. That's really geared more towards rural setting to prevent strip development along county roads in the agricultural district and limit the amount of drive openings onto those roads. So those factors aren't really present here. So we see no benefit in requiring the subdivider to somehow provide 600 feet of road frontage. And I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Sean, this may be a question for the petitioner, but do you know this development, will it connect to any of the existing developments to the north or south?
It's actually going to connect to both. I apologize. This is an older version. The plat that received primary approval has connections to the streets to the south as well as to the subdivision to the north. Thank you.
Will it have well and septic?
It will be served by well and septic. That's correct.
Thank you.
Good. Good. Okay.
Good afternoon, Chris Godlewski, Marsh, 315 West Jefferson, South Bend, Indiana, 46601. I represent the landowner, Ash Road LLC. Thank you for the positive staff report. As you can see on that drawing, it's the very northwest corner of that development. That agricultural zoning's been in place for a long time, and this development just came into fruition recently. Those lots are so big because those soils, it slopes downwards away from the road. And there's a substantial floodplain in the area, and it's very poor soils. So really dividing that into smaller lots is going to be tougher to develop. This development plan originally, it was going to be like 60 something lots, and it got reduced down to 1 acre and larger lots to fit larger homes. Yeah, as Sean said, the stub street to the south is connected. There's no waivers proposed for this. It did receive approval from the plat committee on December 7th, and it's going for the urban drain hearing on January 8th. So we hope you can approve this, and I'll take any questions you have.
Nothing. All right. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
All right, we'll open it up to the public. Is there anybody who'd like to speak in favor of this petition? Please step forward. See none. Any on Zoom? See none. Anyone that would like to speak against this petition, please step forward. See none. Any on Zoom? We have one.
Go ahead, Mr. Tracy.
Hey, how you doing there? John Tracy, 10,085 Helena Drive in Granger. I live directly south of that. I'm pleased to see some of the progress. They had a sand mine going on behind the house. There was a pretty good substantial hole. In the past few days, they've been working pretty darn hard to fill that. Of course, that is actually being filled with muck, which is looks like it's being mined from the southwest corner of that lot. And appears that that still has a wetland designation. And I was just curious if petitioner has filed for the appropriate 401 and 404 environmental permits from IDEM and the Environmental Protection Agency.
We can ask him when he comes back up for a rebuttal. Is there anything else that you would like to mention or talk about?
No, I think we're all right with that. We would like to, it would be nice that if we would have some sort of park in our area. It seems to me like, increased taxes, we ought to have that. Of course, that's a different thing and wouldn't be on Ash Road LLC.
Yeah, that's not us, but I understand. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else that would like to speak against this petition on Zoom? Seeing none, public portion is closed.
Chris Galuski again. Yeah, in the wetland, I'm not aware of that, but with our SWIP or any construction practices, obviously we would need to follow whatever plans we have in place. That's something I could immediately follow up on, but it doesn't necessarily affect the variance for the lot frontage. That's more of a construction practice matter. But with regards to the second comment about the planned park, there is no planned park in here. These are going to be larger estate type size lots and homes. And that's the look and feel it'll have, very suburban, semi-rural. I don't know if you have any questions on that.
Good. Thanks, Chris.
Yep.
Guys, any comments or I'll take a motion?
Bob Hawley, I'll make a motion that we recommend the approval of the variance on the property located 53633 Ash Road, Harris Township.
Donnie Ritzmau, second.
Mr. Byers,
Yes, yes.
Mr. Roush,
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mr. Hawley,
Yes.
Mr. Ritzma,
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier.
Yes, based on testimony presented here today, the area board of zoning appeals, after careful consideration, grants your variance and will issue written findings of the facts. Thank you.
Petition number 5-12707 and 12685 State Road 23. Owner Johnny T LLC. Requested action from variances number 1 from section 154.333 sub F to allow for required foundation landscaping plantings to be located in the front yard, where such plantings would be required to be located either adjacent to the building or within 15 feet of the building. Variance number 2 from section 154.334 sub A to allow for 0 interior landscape islands for an off-street parking area where 2 islands would be required. Zoning C, Commercial District, County.
This is Carl Brown Grimm, Area Plan Commission staff again. So TMT Automotive is an auto repair business in Granger that is seeking relief from landscaping requirements triggered due to a recent expansion of the site. So in 2022, they submitted an expansion for the building and the parking lot, which required 16 either shrub or hedge plants to satisfy the foundation landscaping requirement planted along the foundation of the expanded building, and 2 interior landscaped islands with the parking areas. Due to parking circulation restrictions and the nature of garages, the petitioners were unable to fully comply with the required plantings, providing only 9 shrubs at the edges of the required facade. I believe that's the newer portion of the building. This is the site found on State Road 23 in Granger. Should the variance be granted today, TMT is proposing to plant an additional 14 shrub plants and an additional 2 shade trees at the front of the property, the same amount that would be required within the parking island and the foundation landscape area. Looking at our state law criteria, approval of the requested variance will not be injurious to the surrounding community. The petitioners are proposing to provide the same amount of plantings as required by the ordinance, and in fact, a little more in the foundation example, just in different areas of the property. The landscaping will not be an impediment to the flow of traffic on the site. Similarly, approval will not substantially affect surrounding property values. As I mentioned, this property located on State Road 23 is a heavily commercialized area in Granger. Aggregating the plantings to the front of the property will fit in with the character of the area and be more typical of the use found on site. Finally, staff does find there to be practical difficulties in this case, given the combination of the lot size and the use of the property. As an auto garage, it makes it difficult to meet the foundation requirements because much of the facade is garage door. And additionally, when it comes to the parking, cars generally have to be circulating in and out. So that makes it difficult for site circulation. Staff does recommend approval. The extra plantings allow the petitioner to meet the intent of the ordinance while still being flexible as to the placement to meet the needs of their ongoing auto operation. And I would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Anything?
Carl, what was the type of trees that did they say or disclose what they were going to be putting in?
Yeah, it's on the site plan there. I can't see exactly, but it is a shade. I think we do consider it a shade tree. Let me pull that up. Norway maple is the common name.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, name and address, please.
Steve Ruby, Evan Marsh Consulting, 315 West Jefferson, 46601. Representing petitioner Johnny T. As stated, this is an automobile use with the garage doors, the circulation patterns. It presented a challenge to the petitioner with regards to the foundation planting, as well as the circulation within the islands of the development here. So as a request, and knowing the nature of the automobile side of things here, they are asking to move those obviously to the front of the development, kind of in a front yard, so to speak, as opposed to the foundation planting in lieu of the foundation planting. As mentioned before, meeting the intent, I guess, of the overall ordinance with an alternate landscape plan. The trees, it's a columnar maple, it is a tall, more narrow upright maple that fits the definition that's required within the ordinance. But as stated, it becomes a challenge with the garage doors and the openings and the circulation to put those foundation plants in place. So they're asking for the variance on those 2 areas because of the restriction circulation needs. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
The question I have is, sorry for getting nitpicky on the type of trees. I'm also I don't like to see, trees planted in the right of ways so close to utilities where they get just whacked up and look stupid, and it impedes the growth of the plant, right? So I understand you said it's a narrow maple. Will the growth of the matured width diameter, when it's fully grown, it will not encroach into the utility lines where utility companies will come down and whack off the sides of the tree?
these two particular plants in the plan are located outside of the right of way. It does sit on the side yard. And it does only get a spread of about 15 to 20 feet max. So it should not have, it's less invasive than some of the other street trees that are required through the county. So it does meet the intent and exceeds it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Just bad horticultural practices.
You answered my question.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll open it up to the public. Anybody that would like to speak in favor of this petition, please step forward. Seeing none. Any on Zoom? Seeing none. Is there anybody that would like to speak against this petition? Please step forward. Seeing none. Any on Zoom? Seeing none. Public portion is now closed. You guys got anything else? Or take a motion.
Donnie Ritzman, I'll make a motion that we approve both variances as requested.
Bob Holly, second.
Mr. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mr. Roush,
Yes.
Mr. Byers,
Yes.
Mr. Hawley,
Yes.
Mr. Ritzma,
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier.
Yes, based on testimony presented here today, the Area Board of Zoning Appeals, after careful consideration, grants your variances and will issue written findings of the facts.
Petition number 6, location 10412 Cornflower Drive. Owner Kyle and Lisa Kazmarek. Requested action, variance. Number 1 from section 154.070 sub C to D4A to allow an 8-foot high fence with less than 70% open space where a maximum height of 6 feet is permitted. Zoning R single family district, county.
This is Sean Klein, Area Plan Commission staff. So this is a situation that first came to our attention in August via a resident complaint, which resulted in a zoning violation. The majority of the fence, which you see here, falls somewhere between 5 and 6 foot in height. However, based on available imagery, sometime between March 14th, 2021 and the present, additional material was added to portions of the fence, which brought it up well above 7 feet, which you can't see too well from the lighting there, but there is a portion of it as well. Staff recommends denial of the variance on the grounds that it could have a substantial impact on the use and value of neighboring properties, as well as the fact that there really doesn't appear to be any practical difficulty to justify portions of this fence exceeding the 6 foot that is required, or 6 foot maximum permitted. And here on the site plan, you can see the portions that kind of have that little asterisk by them are where the additional material was added to increase the height. Turning to the state law criteria, we don't really believe that allowing a taller fence would really have any impact on public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. But when we get to that second criteria, we do believe that the use and value of the area adjacent would be affected in a substantially adverse manner, as allowing a fence in excess of 6 feet would be detrimental to neighborhood character. Looking at the neighborhood, all of the solid fences that I saw were in conformance with the zoning ordinance and did not exceed that 6 foot maximum height. And then finally, turning to strict application of the terms of this chapter resulting in practical difficulties, staff really couldn't find any reason to justify allowing a taller fence on this property. There wasn't any sort of grade change between this yard and neighboring yards such that they would need a taller fence. And to comply, really all the property owner would need to do is to take down these additional taller pieces of fence that were affixed to the original fence. As such, we recommend denial, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Is there any questions? No? All right, is the petitioner present?
Lance does. Sean,
Lance?
what about the part of the fence that sticks out in front of the garage along the driveway? I assume that's permitted?
Correct. That is the 5 to 6 foot portion, and it's a corner lot, but it complies with the current ordinance after our amendment, so.
Perfect, thanks.
All right, name and address, and you got 10 minutes.
Kyle Kazmarek, 10412 Cornflower Drive, Osceola, Indiana. This fence was constructed. First off, I want to reiterate on the property value. The house in back of my property sold for $290,000 to a couple. The one next to it where my fence is at, the couple had passed away. That all 4 properties have sold within the past 2 years for market value, so taxes went up. All my neighbors have no problem with my fence. I talked to them verbally. I didn't get anything written because I didn't know. This fence was constructed back in 2016. I contacted the building department and was told that there's no permit needed for the fence that I was gonna put up. And then again, I added on to it in 2018. To make it, it's like 7'6" in the corner back. I have some pictures, but I don't know if you'd want to see them or not, of how it actually looks better than what's on there. But I again contacted the building department because I was going to add on again, and they told me that there was contractors are putting up 8-foot fences, and they're in abundance in my subdivision and around. And now that this has come about, they're everywhere. This wasn't put up to, it was put up in a manner that looks appropriate and not meticulously put up to like, oh, I don't want you to see my, to go against my neighbors. I also contacted, when I got red tagged for it, I contacted the building department, and they told me, Kimberly said that prior to April of 2022, that they had no ordinance on 8-foot fences. This fence has been up for 8+ years with no complaints. It was just a disgruntled neighbor across the street that called in for a dispute we had to render havoc on me, and that's what I'm dealing with right now. And saying that this fence was put up in 2016 and 18, with no ordinance on it, when I talked to the building department, it's a legal non-conformative structure status. It's just an accessory, and I'm hoping that you guys will grandfather it in since it's been up that long. And that's really all about I got on it.
So if you have those pictures, anything that you give to us, we have to keep. So if you don't need them back,
No,
we'll take them, but you won't be able to get them back.
I just took those a couple days ago and printed them.
If there's any questions?
Kyle, can you demonstrate?
He says he put that fence up in 2018.
Yeah, one part was put up in 2016. That's heading towards Dunn Road towards the north. And then the other part was put up in 2018, which would be to the west.
What was the reasoning for the additional in 2018?
Just privacy and the look of the neighbor's yard with trees growing up and grass, and he put with the sheds moved now that he had back there, and the neighbors in the back put up a big tall pool with a deck that looks right down into my backyard. So kind of privacy. And I did have arborvitaes, but they all died, so just kind of hide the neighbors' junk in their backyard that they have everywhere to the house to the southeast of me, or rather southwest of me. And like I said, I have basically 20. I have 8-foot sections in my backyard. I have 30 of them, and there's only 12 that go around that back corner of my lot. I don't know if there's an aerial view again where Sean had marked off where they end. Yeah, that one there. It's in that back corner, basically where my shed's at. And well, you can see he has it marked off appropriate. So there's only 12 sections that's about 7 foot, 6 foot high in that back corner. It's not visible from the street. And as I said, again, both of my neighbors, that house there and the one in the back, have no problem. They actually like it because it, so that's, I'm just hoping that you guys would grant the variance for me, since it's been up since 2016, and kind of grandfather it in.
Kyle, point of clarification. When the fence was put up originally, was it put up at that height, or did you have to add something to it at some point?
Oh, like Sean said, the fence is basically around the whole yard, probably about 5 foot. So yeah, I did add that portion, and we've been living in the house for about 20 years, 25 years now.
And the reason you put that up was for privacy?
Privacy from the neighbor's pool, that they put a big deck up that looks straight down into my house. And what else I got written down here? Basically, the neighbor in the back of me has ducks and a bunch of junk in their backyard and trailers and all this stuff, and it sticks up above the fence, so I kind of blocked it with that. And
Have you called the county is it that
No.
bad that it needs to be?
I'm just not that guy that calls in on people. It's their yard, so. And I kind of get along with the guys, so.
Okay, you guys got anything else? No? All right, thanks, sir. All right, we'll open this up to the public. Is there anybody that would like to speak in favor of this petition? Please step forward. See none. Any on Zoom? Seeing none. Is there anybody that would like to speak against this petition? Please step forward. Seeing none. Any on Zoom?
I don't know how to do it.
Are you speaking against the petition?
Yes.
Okay, I need your name and address, please, and then you have 5 minutes.
10415 Cornflower Drive. My name is Karen Grady, and I'm the one that he's saying is had a dispute with him. I did not have a dispute with him. I'm fine with him putting that fence up long as he gets the proper permits to do so. He did not get the proper permits. Everything we've done on our house, we've gotten permits to do correctly. If he does the proper permits, pays the proper things to get done, I have no problem with him having his little bit of higher fence. As far as there's being trash in the neighbors' yards, there's no trash in this neighborhood. If anybody, he has a car that's in his backyard that doesn't run. So, and what's he saying about the trailers in the people's yard behind him? I've never seen a trailer back there, but that's be here or there, so. And like I said, I have no problem with the fence long as he does the permits and does it legally.
Okay, is that it?
Yep.
All right, thank you. Is there anybody else on Zoom that would like to speak against this petition? Seeing none, public portion is now closed. You guys got anything else, or I'll take a motion? Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. You do get a rebuttal. I'm sorry. Apparently I can't talk and I can't think today. Yeah, no joke. Sorry about that. You got 5 minutes.
Well, I respect what she's saying. It's like, what does my car in a backyard have to do with anything? It's like, it totally runs and my daughter don't drive it anymore. She can't see into the other neighbor's backyard because his yard is all fenced in. So, I mean, that clarification she made is just, is whatever. And there is confrontation between me and her husband constantly. But that's neither here nor there. Let's see. Now I want to bring one other thing up. That the whole reason this was being called in the first place is because I was replacing boards and adding on to it. So the fence was a little higher and well, Sean knows about this and I cut it down. So that kind of doesn't really matter. Let's see. The only thing I'm confused about is Sean stating that there's an ordinance on it. I mean, is there an ordinance on this prior to April 22, 2022 or not?
Yeah, I mean, there's, it's been in the zoning ordinance since 2005.
Then my conflicting thing is, why is the building department telling me prior to 2022 there was no variances on an 8-foot fence?
I believe what they were telling you is that they weren't requiring permits to construct a fence at that time, but they wouldn't have said that an 8-foot fence was ever permitted, anything over 6, that is, per the zoning ordinance.
Kimberly in the building department told me that prior to 2022, and I'm not talking a chain link fence, I'm talking a solid fence. That contractors, that was the only material they had and they were being constructed. If she didn't tell me that in 2016 and 2018, I would have never put it up. So as for Karen, my neighbor, saying that I needed to go through the right channels, I did. I contacted twice. And that's why it's still up after 8 years with no complaints. Until Karen, my neighbor, called in on me. It's like, why did she decide to call in on me in August if my fence has been up for 8 years? Why would she call in August after it's been up for 8 years? If she's still on Zoom, I'd like an answer for that, because went back in 2016 and 2018. How come I wasn't here then?
I am on Zoom still. I am not.
Mute her, yeah. All right, you got anything else?
No,
Like that? Okay, thanks, sir.
I'm just saying if they weren't able to put them up, the material wouldn't be available. It's not available. It's back then, though. 8-foot material, if it was available.
Excuse me.
Put up.
Listen, I've been. Family's owned a construction company my entire life and I've never put up an 8-foot fence.
Neither have I.
You guys got anything else or?
I do.
Oh my gosh. Ma'am, the public portion's closed, so we can't take any more comment from the public.
Me later. I just.
Oh, that's the,
Johnny Redstone, I'll make a motion that we deny the variance.
Tom Byers, second.
Mr. Hawley,
I'm gonna say yes, but I'd like to also, 6-foot fence, I think is pretty darn tall to me, and, I don't know why. I just don't understand. I understand privacy. I respect that. But I think 6 foot is just the maximum that, it should be.
Mr. Roush,
I have to qualify my answer as well along the lines of Bob. I almost want to, apologize on behalf of the county because we have no way of knowing for sure what you were told at the time by a clerk that may or may not still be there. But I have to agree. I think 8 foot is way too tall. So I'm gonna vote.
Mr. Schaefer,
Say yes.
I'm gonna say, his vote was yes. I'm gonna say no, and it's mainly because you can't control the decks on the other side, like he pointed out. If you get a deck that's 3 foot tall, they can look over your fence, so what's the point of 6 foot? So I'm gonna vote no.
Mr. Byers.
Yes.
Mr. Ritzma,
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier,
Before you vote, DJ, Mr. Roush, can you just say what your vote was again? You muted really fast. We couldn't 100% hear it.
No problem. My vote is yes.
Okay, thank you.
So my vote's neither here nor there either, right? So I do want to agree with Sydney. But you can't control what's on the other side, but residential, it's always been 6 foot, always has been, probably always will be. And as far as the county is concerned, again, I'm sorry for that, but I've known Kimberly for a long time and the building department's pretty on it. So I apologize for that, but my vote is yes. So based on the testimony presented here today, the Area Board of Zoning Appeals, after careful consideration, denies your variance and will issue written findings of the facts.
petition number 7, location 56048 Pine Road. Owner Marcus Villa Abba, requested action from section 154.070 sub A3 to allow for the legalization of an accessory structure prior to the establishment of a primary use on the lot. Zoning R Siegel Family District, County.
This is Carl Brown Grimm, Area Plan Commission staff. So here we have a request to allow for an accessory building to be permitted on a property prior to the establishment of a primary use on the lot. The accessory building located on this lot has been in existence since at least 2015, according to historic aerials. The petitioner uses it today to keep a horse on his property. Agricultural uses such as raising horses are permitted on lots greater than 5 acres. But the petitioner only owns this lot and the lot immediately east of it, for approximately 3 contiguous acres. The petitioner has indicated that he plans to build a house on the property, but not within the timeframe of pulling a permit. As such, staff does recommend approval of the variance, but we are asking for a condition that the petitioner be required to establish a primary use on the lot within 3 years. This is the existing site. You may notice cars located on the property. This does constitute a zoning violation, but that is a separate issue from what we're here for today, and it is being addressed by staff and the petitioner. This is Pine Road. Here's the site plan submitted by the petitioner. I apologize, I don't believe it's scanned very well. It does show the barn. There's a lean-to attached to it, and it does appear to meet the required 8-foot setback from the side property line. Turning to our state law criteria, approval of the requested variance will not be injurious to the public. Again, this building has been in existence for approximately 8 years without complaint. And the Humane Society has confirmed that there are no animal-related concerns with regard to the horse's welfare on the property. Provided approval does come with a condition recommended by staff, there should be no adverse effect to the value of surrounding properties. The petitioner will be compelled to establish a primary use on the property, which will enhance the use and value of the surrounding area in the future. And finally, staff does find there to be practical difficulties. In this case, the petitioner would be either forced to build a dwelling unit in a relatively short period of time or to purchase an additional 2 acres of contiguous land to keep the historically existing building up. By approving this variance with a 3-year time clock, this allows the petitioner time to either establish that primary use on the property or to find a new location for the horse that's existing on site. And with that, I will take any questions you might have.
Is there any utilities? I mean, is there water, electricity, or anything like that there?
I'm not sure. I believe that would be a question for the petitioner. If they do end up building a house, obviously that would have to be provided there.
I may have missed it, but it indicates that the structure's been there at least since 2015. It was red tagged in 2023. Was there an addition being added to the structure or?
Not to my knowledge. This property has been around sort of the county offices. Zoning's had issues with the cars. It's been used as a car lot, and then health had some concerns. The horse was inspected and was cleared. I believe the reason, I don't want to speak for the building department. I don't know what the reason for the red tag was.
Any more questions? Nope. All right. Is the petitioner present? Petitioner on Zoom? Okay, so with 2 options, we can either table it or we can
Yes, you can table it or you can dismiss it.
dismiss it.
Attorney Richardsma, I will make a motion that we table it.
Oh,
So, I'll stay on my motion.
Cherie Dickerson, 55-900 Dorn Road. I received a letter to come to
Are
this
you
council
Are
meeting.
you the petitioner
No,
for this? Okay,
no.
we're not to the public portion yet. So if you can, just give us a little bit, but I'm pretty sure.
Okay, but I wanted a point of clarification too.
Okay. well,
Okay.
Yep, give us just a little bit, but it's probably gonna be tabled, so,
Okay.
all right,
Okay now.
yep, go ahead.
Attorney Richardsma, I'll make a motion that we table the petition.
Bob Hawley seconds that.
Mr. Byers,
Yes.
Mr. Roush,
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mr. Hawley,
Yes.
Mr. Ritzma,
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier.
Yes. Petition number 7 has been tabled.
you wanna answer that lady, or do you think?
It's tabled, you can't talk about it anymore.
Okay, thank you. So you answer.
She can get with them.
Yeah.
Petition number 8, location 54700 Tulip Road. Owner Frederick S. and Maud Miller Trust. Requested action, special use, mineral and material mining and hauling of sand, gravel, or other aggregated and the processing thereof per section 154.091 sub B 13 to permit a concrete plant. Zoning A agricultural district, county.
Brandy, before we keep going, can I request from the board approval to be recused, or is it too late now?
You can ask, you're asking for the ability to not vote on this petition. He does not have a financial conflict that I could discern from his concerns, but he is worried about, I guess, appearances or something. But he requested under your rules for the board to authorize him with a majority vote to not vote on this petition.
Can I state my reasoning?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I don't have a financial reasoning, but my reasoning is, I work for the Michigan Area Council of Governments. I'm a professional planner. We are working with the town of New Carlisle to update their comprehensive plan. And while this is outside their regulatory limits of the town limits, I do feel that there's still, outside of financial, there's still a conflict of interest with my professional experience working with the town as my client. And I'm asking for the board's approval that I don't have a vote.
So does he stay in here or does he have to go?
Technically, under the rules, he doesn't have a conflict, so he doesn't have to leave. The rules would require everybody who's present to vote unless the board authorizes them by a majority vote to not vote on something for some reason. So he doesn't have to leave. If he's asking that you let him not vote at the end.
Do we need that in the form of a motion?
Yeah, you would need a motion to let him not vote.
That's gonna take us down to 5 members. Is the petitioner gonna have a problem with that?
I was gonna, after.
Oh, I'm
after
sorry.
this was
I
done, I
jumped
was
the
gonna-
gun.
I mean, technically, they've already been, we don't have a full board anyways. And they could come forward after he recuses himself, right?
And ask to get tabled.
Ask to table it, so.
We'll see if I say this right. Bob Hawley, I'll make a motion based on Donnie's request to refrain from voting on the petition subject to 54,700 Tulip Road that he
You just gotta say motion to grant Donnie's request to allow him not to vote.
that we accept his request.
Lance Roush, second.
You do still have to do roll call because Lance is on video.
Mr. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mr. Byers.
Yes.
Mr. Hawley,
Yes.
Mr. Ritzma. Oops, excuse me, Mr. Roush,
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier.
Yes.
Okay, Donnie, you're clear. You don't have to vote on this one.
Okay, now.
Okay. Sean.
Yes, so this is Sean Klein, Area Plan Commission staff. So this is a request for a special use, so you'll be making a recommendation to the county council. The specific special use being requested is to allow mineral and material mining and hauling of sand, gravel, or other aggregate and the processing thereof. This is a special use that's available with county council approval. in the A agricultural district, the R single family district, the C commercial district, and the I industrial district. In this case, the property in question is zoned A agricultural. The petitioner, I believe, is mainly interested in the hauling of sand, gravel, or other aggregate and the processing thereof elements. I'm not sure if they're planning any on-site extraction. I'll let them speak to that, but their primary interest is to establish a concrete batch plant wherein concrete ingredients, including cement, other aggregates, would be stored and then mixed into concrete via a portable batch plant, which would be brought to the site. The concrete would then be trucked to construction sites in the area. This is the parcel in question. View from Tulip Road. View from Sage Road. This is the most recent site plan provided. It is a little different from the one in your packet, which showed kind of three alternatives. It would appear that they would like to go for the, I believe they call it alternative 3, which is in the northwest corner of the property. As you can see there, it would be material storage towards the west end, and then the batch plant would be over toward further to the east. Everything would be set back fairly substantially. There is a required 50-foot front setback, but they are more than meeting that from what is proposed here. This is an example of, I believe this might actually be the actual setup which would be brought out to the property if the special use were successful. If not, this is kind of what would be expected there. When we turn to the 4 criteria in state law, staff finds that the proposed use should have no impact on public comfort, community moral standards, convenience, or general welfare. It would adhere to all local, state, and federal regulations related to the storage of concrete ingredients and the processing. Again, it's not clear to me whether they're planning any extraction on site. However, if there is extraction done, regardless, they'll need to enter into an indemnity agreement with the Board of Commissioners to essentially put the site back to where it can be used for agricultural use. So if there is extraction, they'll have to establish a uniform contour with soil that is suitable for vegetation. And again, there'll be an indemnity agreement to make sure that this work occurs after concrete production ceases. We find that the proposed use will not injure or adversely affect the use of the adjacent area or property values therein. Like I said, there will be required 50-foot setbacks. They're more than double meeting those. Additionally, the majority of the residential properties in the vicinity are in that older subdivision over there to the west, and that's over 1,200 feet away. There are a couple residential properties immediately to the south of Tulip Road. However, again, I feel like the setbacks that are being offered are substantial enough. And furthermore, all activities would need to comply with the performance standards of the zoning ordinance in terms of noise, vibration, dust, and particulate matter. So we turn to the 3rd criteria. We find that the proposed use is consistent with the character of the district in which it's located. Much like agricultural uses, this does require some large equipment. It might result in some louder noises, some visual disturbance, but it's really not necessarily out of character with more intensive agricultural uses when it comes to both the machinery and the storage of the materials on site. Turning to the final criteria, the proposed use is not incompatible with the comprehensive plan. The current 2002 land use plan doesn't contemplate any specific use for this property. However, it is per the zoning map within the agricultural district. And as I said, it's not inconsistent with the character of that district. Furthermore, it is in close proximity to an area which has long been reserved for industrial growth, and allowing this temporary source of concrete will help facilitate that planned growth in that area. And I'm happy to answer any questions. Staff does recommend a favorable recommendation. I do want to mention the county engineer had something to say about the use of the rights of way. They state that Public Works will require that the petitioner improve Edison Road from Stage to Smilac, as it's currently not built to handle heavy truck traffic. We would also need an agreement stating the routes the trucks will use, and we would need to enforce this route and make a portion of Edison a no truck route. So that comes from the county engineer. Happy to answer any questions.
Are these high tension lines on this subject property?
That I'm not.
To the north,
Yeah,
that's a railroad.
okay. Well, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a railroad running along the north of the property.
Do you know how far the temporary structure would be from the high tension lines? Maybe we need to talk to the petitioner.
Yeah, the petitioner would have a better answer for that
Okay,
than.
I'm just wondering if they're, well, I'll ask the question. Thank you.
Before the petitioner comes up, just want to clarify for everyone here in the room, on Zoom, and you all. So what is before you is a special use. You all provide I know you know, but so everyone knows, you all provide a recommendation to the county council, who ultimately votes on it.
Favorable, unfavorable.
Right.
or-
It's not a rezoning. And the special use existed in the ordinance. Don't know, I have to go back and see how long, but likely multiple prior iterations of the current zoning ordinance.
Into the 70s, if not into the 60s.
So it's not, there's been no text amendments to like address this. It's existed in the ordinance. The special use is available, has been available for this use for quite some time. And again, you're not rezoning the property. It's a special use that you're providing a recommendation on to the county council.
Would it be fair to use the word temporary?
He did use temporary.
Special uses aren't temporary, they run with the property. So a special use that's granted is that use is allowed on that property essentially forever, or until there's a significant change in the circumstance of the property such that you could consider it to be utterly unlike it was when it was granted.
Thank you.
Well, so that was gonna be my question, is what was considered temporary, because Sean said temporary in his explanation.
They might intend to operate it temporarily, but the approval would be permanent.
That's correct. The approval would be permanent. I think the intent is to use it temporarily. They could use it indefinitely. The thing is, when they do cease use, they need to remediate the site such that it would be ready for agricultural use once more.
And you could put a commitment as a condition that it only be operated, that the special use expires upon that they cease to operate for a certain period of time. That's something that you can do. It is create terms under which it would expire, but otherwise it would just stay there forever, or until a new owner decided they didn't want it on there and came and said, we want rid of it, but that's unusual.
Question I have is, we do this special permit just for argument. Down here on where they put 31 bypass in, there's one of them temporary sites that's still sitting there with pounds of aggregate and everything is just like it's abandoned. And I don't think we want that either. Well, that is the question. How do we prevent that from happening?
Well, that would be a condition of the special use, like Brandy just said, right? After it's not been used for a certain amount of time, then it has to go back to agricultural use, right?
I mean, that would be a way to do that.
Be done, yeah.
Okay,
You guys got any more questions? No?
good point.
Okay, is the petitioner present? I'll need, your name and address for both of you if you're gonna both speak.
I'm Brad Webb with Kirk Concrete, 5909 Nimps Parkway, South Bend 46628.
Jim Sellers with Kurt Concrete, same address.
I'm Jack Allen Miller. I live 54941 Sage Road. I'll be the third closest person to the property, to the.
Okay, so all three of you only get 10 minutes, just so you know.
Okay, I guess I'd just first like to thank the board here for hearing the petition and those that attended here, took time out of their day to be here regarding this matter. We're very excited by the prospect of joining the New Carlisle business community. We've delivered a lot of concrete to New Carlisle over the years. But with the unprecedented amount of construction that is proposed in this area, we feel it's really a necessity for us to have a concrete plant in the immediate area in order to effectively service that work. I understand there's probably some property owners in the immediate vicinity that have some reservations with having a concrete plant next door, which I completely understand. We've built our business on doing the right thing and treating people the right way, and fully intend on being very transparent today with our plans, addressing any questions and concerns that anyone might have. But I wanted to, I guess, just briefly touch on some of our plans, specifically as it probably relates to the major concerns, which would be truck traffic, noise, and dust. Our intentions would be to create a berm around the perimeter of this property and then to plant vegetation on top of that berm to both create a privacy screen and a noise buffer, specifically for the homeowners that are south of Edison Road. The portable plant that we are proposing to move there, we purchased new 4 years ago and is equipped with a fairly robust dust collection system that captures the dust from the truck loading process. Additionally, our intention would be to treat any unpaved areas with dust suppressant to mitigate any fugitive dust that might be created by truck traffic on the site. Speaking of truck traffic, at this point, our plans would be to stage 6 to 8 ready-mix trucks at this location. We would also be accepting daily deliveries of stone, sand, and cement. And to Sean's point, just to clarify, we have no intentions of doing any material mining on this site. Everything we need for concrete production would be delivered and stockpiled at this location. So having said that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Will you guys be putting in any kind of a stub road or anything like that or I'm sorry, a stub track from the railroad?
No,
Product?
nope, there's no
Will it
intention
all
for
be
that.
delivered by truck?
Correct.
Yeah, basically, it's gonna be just.
Yeah, will you speak into the mic, please?
Yeah, basically, it's just gonna be like the Smith down there on the corner of Walnut and Edison. But I'm Jack Miller. My 90-year-old mother's, we've owned the property all our life, you know. And there's all kind of businesses around in that area there. I know of 6 or 7 businesses. And I know a lot of them's out here in the crowd talking bad about it. It's kind of hypocritical if you ask me, but we're all for it. Like I say, my 90-year-old mother wants to help Kirk. We've had family working there for years. I think like 6 or 7 niece or nephews and brothers and brother-in-laws and stuff. So we're just trying to help them out here. And like I said, the place is going crazy anyway. You guys know that, so that's what we're here for.
Anything else? No? Good? All right, appreciate it. You guys got any questions?
Well, you mentioned 6 to 8 trucks that you will have available for in and out. Now, how many of those 6 or 8 trucks, let's say there's 8 trucks.
Mhm.
Do you have a figure for how many times they're gonna be delivering in and out, or does it depend on the construction?
Yeah, I mean, that'll depend on the delivery demands for the day, but on a heavy production day, we anticipate probably 10 to 12 trips per truck.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
Well, you'll have them coming out of your plant too, right? The main plant plus that.
And you guys do have plans to, Sean, you mentioned to improve the roads or
I think that might be new to them today, but that's what the county engineer would be requesting as part of their ultimate approval.
Yeah, correct. That was new information that we learned today, which would be happy to have that discussion and see what that requirement would entail.
Also, Sydney, you brought up about that property that's sitting, where is it located?
Oh, it's right where Old 31 crosses, or the new bypass crosses Old 31.
Did you have anything to do with that property?
No, I believe the plant he's talking about is a Reith Riley portable plant. They did the project there,
So it
so.
didn't fall into.
No, sir. So
I just
please don't hold that
wanted to-
against us.
Thank you.
But you've seen it, it's
I-
still sitting
Yeah,
there like that.
I'm aware, yep.
One question for you.
Yes,
I
sir.
noticed that there is a rail siding just adjacent to the property there.
Mhm.
And I'm guessing it's logistics why you're not blowing your Portland in across or underneath the tracks that's there. There's a siding available.
Yeah, I mean, in order to get the cement, we would have to have one of our cement suppliers put a terminal there. That would be beyond our scope. We don't put any cement silos up or have any terminals where we pick up that material.
Tom, did you have something?
No, not at this point.
All good? Keep looking at you, Donnie, and I forgot you can't vote. All right, thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
All right, before I open this up to the public, I need to make sure everybody understands. You'll come to the podium, name and address, and you will only have 5 minutes. All right? So I will open this up to the public. For anybody speaking in favor of this petition, please step forward. Seeing none. Any on Zoom? Seeing none. All right. We'll open this up to anybody that wants to speak against this. What? You're gonna speak against, right, Dan? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Speak against this petition.
Absolutely.
Please step forward. If you guys are, you can come up one or you can form a line, whatever you guys want to do. So name and address, please.
Dan Caruso, 305 Compton Street, New Carlisle. Where do I start? First off, Edison Road is truck restricted. Truck red line, no trucks. Sage Road is truck restricted. Red line, no trucks. Tulip Road is no through trucks, meaning you've got to pretty much be agricultural to be in that area. We're going to bring mixers in where there's families in this area. There's school buses in this area. There is the noise that this is going to create, the dust that this is going to kick up. I have quite, as Donnie, who excused himself from this, we're working on our comprehensive plan over there. And as Abby knows, we're working on the IEC overlay. And there are commitments in that overlay that people are going to be held to, saying no aggregate sand, gravel, concrete type businesses in the area. This is a mile east where this location is of the area I'm talking about, where we're talking about our comprehensive plan and getting that in place over there. But the sand and gravel and aggregate is okay a little further east, and then bring it on in down a road that trucks aren't supposed to be on. I just don't get that we need to all we're doing is cutting the travel for them a bit. They're up on Bendix and Lincoln Way. So they got to drive a little bit out 20 down Smilax, wiggle around there to get into where they're going to put up the battery plant. So that's where they got to come from. Sorry. We got Smith Concrete on the corner of Walnut and Edison. There are other choices besides Kirk Concrete, and my good friend Art, who passed away, old drinking buddy of mine, he worked for Kirk, but I know he would agree with me that it's wrong to take this land and again, how are you going to get trucks in and out when everything is truck restricted? I don't care how strong you make Edison Road, it's truck restricted. And then how are you going to get the trucks in there to get up and down Edison Road? You're kind of on an island there. I just think we have to take the needs of the residents in the area and give that more weight rather than bring this infringement on their way of life. This is a rural area. Mr. Miller and his family, this is a rural area. They grew up in this area. They understand farming life. Now all of a sudden they're going to bring this portable concrete plant in and pop it right in the middle of this agricultural area. I forget what the dust is called that the concrete puts off, but apparently the concrete workers, it causes some health issues for them, and they have to mask, and it's a pretty nasty thing. But I just think it is wrong to bring that type of an operation in just to save a few miles of driving, where Kurt could come from Bendix and Lincoln Way a few more miles rather than screw up some farmland. Thank you.
My name is Judy Hans. My address is 29058 Essen Road. I am the house that's directly across where the entrance is going to be for these trucks to come and go. I've lived there 25 years. My husband and I use that road to walk on health-wise. He just had quadruple bypass surgery and needs to walk. As it is now, we struggle with traffic going up and down them roads. I think it's a racetrack coming from the steel plant. Why can't they move their down where that Smith is? It's already there. It's already set up. It'll be closer to the battery plant. Like he says, there's the school buses come down there. People walk their dogs down there. People, sorry, very upset, very upset. I thought this was somebody was just gonna put a driveway in. But where he moved that to, I'd have to move my mailbox. It'll be in their way. We built on top of the land because of high seasonal water table. And yes, there's power lines that go across that section. Big silver towers that go through that section. We had to build on top of the land. So unless they're gonna put a 20-foot tree, it ain't gonna block my view. Cause I'm already sitting 10 feet above the ground, plus my house. We're about 100 feet off the road.
Thank you.
John Franum, 29088 Edison Road, New Carlisle. I am Judy's neighbor on the south side of Edison. And I think, first of all, that the pictures that they presented as an overview there of the site is misleading. Right to the west would be across Tulip Road. It's completely residential. I don't know how many houses are in there, but I'm gonna say 50, 60 homes, and that will be right across from all those homes. It's the largest residential area east of the city of New Carlisle in Olive Township. Why would you want to put it in the largest residential area to affect the most people would be the only reason I could think. There are much better sites available in the area. Tulip Road is not a road that really is going to withstand concrete trucks. You already have Larison Road and you have Smilex Road that is already constructed for heavy truck traffic. Also, the increased traffic would be a hazard to all the residents. It would be unsafe and an inconvenience for everyone. The dust quality, they were talking about having dust retardant. I know how that all works. And they might do it once a day or twice, but that dust from all the trucks going in and out is going to be in the air all the time. When they farm the land, we have in the spring, we have that dust in the air, but you only have it for a day or two. It's not going to be there year round. And about lowering the property prices, would you rather have a concrete factory that you look out your window and see, or farmland or a park? I mean, that's a no-brainer to me. I mean, property values will be decreased if that goes in there. I guess no matter how you paint it, a concrete plant is still a concrete plant. It's like putting lipstick on a pig, still ugly. Like I said, there are a lot of other locations in the area that I can think of that would be better suited for this site. I think they would just have to look around, and I think that the board, I hope the board would consider the residents of the area versus a company for profit, not looking out for the entire area. I tried to make a list of all the positives that would be to us if that went in. I couldn't figure one, not one. All I could come up with was negatives, a whole page of. And I think before any decision is made, that maybe the board or someone on the board might want to go out there, take a look at where this site is planned, at all the houses across there, because I think it's sort of been misleading presentation at this time. Now, they said there was also other proposals that they had looked at on the land. Well, maybe one of those other proposals could be proposed. I mean, and I might be acceptable to another site, but not where they're proposing it now.
You got 45 seconds.
Pardon?
45 seconds.
Thank you for your time. Hope you take all that in consideration.
Thank you.
Hi, thanks for the opportunity to talk and express our concerns. My name is Janine Dezek with my husband, Jim Dezek. We're at 54706 Tulip Road. We are adjacent to the Miller's property. We are the farm that runs along the tracks, just to the side there. We've lived there about 20 years, and we've made many improvements to our home, barn, and buildings, and enjoyed caring for our horses, our garden, the beauty of the rural setting. And for clarity, we're not against progress in the area of New Carlisle or anywhere, and we've also enjoyed the Miller family and never had a word bad about Kurt Concrete. The problem is that this location is way too close to our home and surrounding neighbors, and it's going to decrease our property values and We understand the need for a concrete company to be near the IEC, but there's many other locations. And as for the Millers wanting to sell because of their dear mom, Maud, we understand that there's also other properties they could consider to use for this as well. As a neighbor, neither Kirk Concrete or the Miller family have contacted us to explain their plans or talk to us about this. All we received was this notice for a hearing. It was delivered last Thursday. Not much time to really fully investigate everything and understand how a concrete company works and the hazards involved and so forth. So when I read through the analysis done by the ABZA, it does not address a couple things. It keeps talking about a minimal mention of mining, but what kind of mining and techniques? You said from Kurt here that you're not going to mine. Can you put that in writing? Because excavating and digging big holes, are you going to use dynamite? I don't know what you're going to use, but that's awfully defacing of the properties and decreases everything. The special use references of a portable mixing setup. Is it portable? How long is it going to stay? Is this temporary? Is there something in writing? The other things that concern us is that what are the plans for stormwater, concrete washout procedures, potable water, control of toxic and hazardous substances in the air as the dust suppressant, waste disposal, utilities, effects on our aquifer, and the weight limit on the public roads. There's restrictions on Sage and Tulip roads, but anybody who lives on those roads knows that there's a lot of trucks that go through. Nothing's ever enforced. We also like to ask, what alternatives are there for the concrete facility to be closer to the IEC? If this had to go through, what other proposed areas on the map, other than on Edison Road, would you propose your setup for the concrete? What about Sage Road? Why does it have to be on Edison? I mean, the Hans family can throw a rock and hit the property. And that would be an awful disgrace for them to see that all the time. I guess I'm shaking and upset because I love my property and it's really wrong. It's really wrong. I asked that the ABZA provide more detailed facts and plans before recommending this request to the county council. And wait until we get more specific details and discuss this with the petitioners so that we have a better view of what we're going to do and take care of.
That was her 5 minutes. I'm hoping I'm entitled to talk a little. I'm her husband, and I want to tell you a little story about this property.
I need your name and address.
My name is Jim Bezak, 54706 Tulip Road. We're the farm that's connected to the Miller property. We've lived there 20 years. We do have a horse-drawn carriage business, Dream Coach Carriages. As a matter of fact, we do a lot of the parades in town, and with Kirk Concrete, we do. Our property is well kept. We do have an attorney, and he told us that this whole thing is way too vague. Nobody called us. Nobody talked to us. The Millers never even told us. We got the thing from you guys in the mail last Thursday. That's the first we heard of it. We didn't know. So we just barely had time to get an attorney. Vic Nussbaum is our attorney. He is going to help us out with this. And the thing that he said is, this is not specific enough before you guys can make a decision. For one, I think the Millers and the Kurtz should get together with us and at least tell us what's going on. Because I'm under the impression from all these papers that they want to put like a quarry there. You know, that's what it looks like. I mean, according to them, they could put a quarry there. If they sign this paper, they'll take their portable thing away, fine and dandy, but they can have a quarry there. You know, the quarry in town is used up pretty much. They bring the kind of Smith stuff in all the time. I wish Kirk Concrete would be where Smith is right now. You guys should have put Kirk Concrete there to begin with. And now they got to do this. And I don't know what to say about it. Like I said, I'm upset just like her. And I hate to ruin a relationship with my neighbor because we really love the Millers. And my best friend was Fred Miller, and that was Ma's husband. And I do love Kurt Concrete. I think they're a great company. But I was hoping that they could do this a little better and make a few guarantees. And maybe the Millers have a lot of property. Maybe they can find a property that works better. There's even a property right across the tracks by the South Shore where they could use the South Shore. But, that's really all I got to say. And I just hate to, I'm hoping you guys won't say yes to this today and we can wait a little until we get a few more details. Because if you really look at this paper, it's not as detailed as the other papers you have. It really isn't. It kind of mentions mining, but then it says everything's portable, everything. Portable is bad enough, but a quarry is a whole different thing. And that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fred Vollmer, 54,891 Tulip Road. I'm in the park there with all the rest of the houses. I didn't have any inkling of this until last Sunday. My problem is the roads leading to, they're talking about improving the road, but how much of the road is going to be improved? On Edison, from their plant to Tulip? From every which way other than that, it's all no truck routes. They're not designed any which way for trucks. There's no berm on the side of the road for mistakes. Edison is not built well enough to handle any truck traffic. Both roads would have to be widened from Edison to Snowberry. Would have to be widened enough to handle two vehicles of that size. Trees would have to be trimmed up to handle the height. Semis coming down, where the semis coming in and out of, from Highway 2 or Highway 20. And that would have to be on Tulip, because Sage is even narrower, and you can't make the corners. But 3 years ago, we had a garbage truck end up at the corner of Tulip and Edison, fall into the ditch because there was a car coming. He made too short a turn. So they had to re-improve that area just to fix what was damaged. So my problem is that, and with our kids in our area, our housing development, Suburban Gardens, the trucks coming through all the time, I think there's a big hazard there with them. We do have some trucks, and he's talking about 8 trucks sit there 6 times a day. That's over 100 trucks a day that's moving through there. I think it's not a good area for what's there now because of all the different things that are going on with the kids, with the school buses, with the narrow roads. There's a lot of improvement that really needs to be done if you're going to do that. And then with the dust. My wife has respiratory problems, and I would want some assurances from the trucks coming in with concrete dust, the other trucks coming in with sand and gravel, the dust that comes off of them. How are you going to control it? It's not the mixing, it's the bringing of the products. So those are my main concerns. I'd really like to get more information as they would of what exactly, because like I said, paperwork I have says that they have permission to mine, and you're giving them that permission for what they said forever. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else want to step up and speak against this petition? See none. All right, we'll go to Zoom. Is there anybody that would like to speak against this petition? Please use the raise hand function. right, seeing none, public portion is now closed. You guys, yep. You guys get 5 minutes for a rebuttal.
Lot to unpack here and sorry for all the emotion in the room. I know it's impacts a lot of people, but made some notes here. As far as the proximity to the current residential, we were told that there was not an opportunity to have a concrete plant within the IEC because of the regulations. So in looking at some of the surrounding property, try to find something that would be least impactful for residences. Obviously, anywhere you go, there's going to be some residential nearby. The neighborhood off Tulip, I think Sean said it's about a quarter mile away. I don't feel like that's really going to impact them. If you look at our operation in South Bend, we have residences that are just adjacent to our plant. So we deal with having to mitigate dust and noise in our Rochester location quite regularly. We are subject to both stormwater and wash water regulations, so we do have self-contained washout pits at all of our locations that hold that water. As far as the mining, we do not do any sand and gravel or aggregate mining at all in any of our operations. That's not an intention of ours. Be happy to sign anything stating that. And I apologize. I did try to send out some letters with some packets of information and I did not drop one off at your home. So I apologize. You did not hear from me, but I did try to reach out to try to give everybody an opportunity to reach out to me with questions or concerns. As far as another concrete producer in the IEC, yes, there is, but the amount of concrete work that's going to be required out here, that is not sufficient to handle all the needs that are going to be in this area in the next several years. And as far as deliveries, our intention would be to bring trucks off Highway 2 up Larison. Now, I understand the gentleman said Edison Road is a no truck route and that would have to be addressed, but that's our plan to try to minimize impact there. Dust from deliveries, all of the aggregate delivery trucks do require to have a screen on top to prevent any of the sand or any of the dust from flying off in transit. So that kind of handles that. The dust mitigation that we apply to the ground is a chemical that it does last for the duration of the year. It's something that the county highway departments use in their maintenance of their roads as well. So it's common practice. I don't know, that was kind of the extent of the notes that I have, Jim. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add, but just wanted to touch on a few of those concerns.
Okay. Thanks. Oh, he's got a question.
Sure.
You mentioned water.
Yes, sir.
How are you getting this water to, is there a well on the land?
A well would have to be driven, yes.
Oh, it would have to be put in.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And one other thing. I'm assuming you have an agreement or a lease arrangement that permits you to take this property over for your need, right?
Yeah, so our intention with the Miller family is to enter into a lease agreement initially with an option to purchase this property, which, you know, would be our intention. I think the construction out there is going to last several years, kind of from what I understand. So I don't know when the end date would be for that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned highway trucks coming up, Highway 2 to Larison.
Yes, sir.
Larison doesn't show on the maps that we have before us. About how far away is Larison to connect to your property on Edison?
That's a good question. I did not, when I drove the route, I timed it and it was 2 minutes. I do not have the actual distance from Larison to that location. And I counted about 18 or 19 residences between there and Larison that are on Edison Road.
Okay, so when you come off of Larison, you would be connecting directly onto Edison?
That would be the intention, yeah, subject to reinforcing or whatever might need to be done for that road.
Anything else? Sydney? No? Okay, thanks guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Sean,
Yes.
so since the public portion's closed, sir. Nope. Sorry about that. Nope. So since they just found out about having to reinforce the roads or whatever it may be, make road improvements. Not that I want to prolong this, right? But is there some sort of standard that they should have an agreement with the county first before we make any kind of, I mean, we're right now, we're speculating that they're gonna be okay with making these making these improvements, right? So.
I mean, it should probably be something that's worked out prior to final county council approval. So I think there would be time for that conversation to still take place.
But we're making a recommendation on assuming that they're going to be okay with this.
I don't know, is Sky, are you on?
Sky's over there.
You can speak to that better than I can in terms of what they would be required to do.
Yeah, Sky Matters, St. Joseph County Engineer Office is on the 7th and 11th floor of this building, Department of Infrastructure Planning and Growth. And I want to apologize for the delay in getting comments. That was my fault, not and anything to do with the planning. That was on me. But we would have time to sit and talk about that. I have a lot of concerns with the roads that I've heard here today. There's a lot of roads out there now that are considered no truck. Actually, Edison from Sage to Smilax is considered a no truck route. There would have to be an ordinance. That ordinance would have to be changed to the Board of Commissioners to allow that. Also too, that we would require them to go through and make the route from pretty much from, I think I said from Sage to Smilax, I think I put in there, Sean.
You did, correct.
Suitable so that you could get the kind of trucks that they're going to be looking at safely to the plant. We also were going to require them to, we need them to sign to come up with some type of agreement on what routes they will be taking with penalties in that agreement if they do not choose to go that route. We've run into issues with the other concrete plant in the area where they're not using that, where they're using roads that are designated no trucks. And they're using those. So, we've sort of learned from our mistakes there, but I mean, we've gone through in the past, we've done something similar to this and we went through this process and as long as it was worked out before the council approved it, that last time, I think, I can't remember what it was several years ago. But it went through and then as long as everything was right before the council approved it, then we were fine. You can make a motion. I don't want to get into Randy's area, but
In terms of how long that the council has before they have to act, once you guys give us recommendation, they have 60 days in order before the council has to act one way or the other on it. So there's 2 months from your recommendation that there is available to work that kind of thing out.
Right, but again, we're being asked to make a recommendation on something that is pure speculation that it's all gonna work out, or that they're gonna agree to everything. So, I mean, I guess I don't know how we're supposed to make a pure educated recommendation when we don't even know if they're gonna do it.
I mean, you are quite often in the position of having to make a decision before things get done. That's not unusual.
If the council has 60 days from our recommendation, if they were to table it in the 60th day, they could continue on with it,
No,
could they?
they have to act in 60
Oh, they
days.
have to, okay.
So is there any sort of timeline that you're gonna have to meet with them, Sky? I mean, or are you gonna send them? I mean,
So after it has received first reading, you have the hearing today. because of the way the dates fall on the meetings for the holiday committee would be Tuesday. And then if it went out of committee, it would be at the January public hearing. And then to clarify about all of this, what needs to get worked out in the detail provided. So the special use allows the use to go there. It doesn't take care of all the developmental requirements. It would still have to go through what we call commercial plan review, at which point Sky could provide comments for engineering and requirements that would need to be worked out even after the use is approved. I understand that might affect the way that what is going to be required might affect the way that you vote, and that's okay, but it's not like it has to be entirely one way or the other. You could table, request that some of this be worked out, and then it could come back to you, and it wouldn't put the county council on their required timeline that they have to meet statutorily after, we have the hearing. Or you could move it along, and then we would then work with the petitioner on all of the issues raised by engineering and what other departments would comment on during like a formal plan review.
And if at the time it gets to the county council and they have to act on it, if they think it's appropriate, they can always put a condition on their approval if they approve it that says, subject to the condition that it meets all of the county's other requirements to do the project, something to that effect.
Mr. Chairman, I've got a question that might be best answered by Sky if he's still at the podium.
Yes.
Since we're kind of in the discussion phase of this, Sky, I've got property over by, Sid mentioned the other gravel pit that NCAR owns over on like Old 31 where the new highway cuts across. And that doesn't particularly bother me because, it's along the old highway. It's a lot of commercial stuff. The big highway runs right through there now. Majority Builders is down there and such. And I just get the overwhelming vibe that we're really trying to swim upstream here on a piece of farm ground that's on roads that barely hold up under semis full of wet corn 1 month a year. When I would think something like this could be located, right on one of the two highways. Would you weigh in on that, or is that appropriate for you to render an opinion?
It's a situation where part of it's probably not appropriate for me to weigh in on. The other part is I have concerns with the roads in the area. That's why before I would sign off on this, I would make the improvements. They would have to finance the improvements from Sage to Smilax so that it would be safe for traffic and people in the area. They'd have to build it to meet those standards. And that's also why I'm worried about the roads in the area, that I put the stipulation in that they would have to require us the routes that they would be using, the roads that they would be using, and would not be allowed to use any other of the roads in the area without penalty. So there is a concern about the other roads. As far as location, I really can't comment about that, sir.
Well, I appreciate that. And I think I like your idea about mandating routes and having some teeth behind that with fines. But I'm just trying to envision, I live in an area like this, and this would be like putting a concrete plant out on Miami Road. And I just can't comprehend it personally.
All right, does anybody else got any questions? Thanks, Sky. Okay, so remember, we can either make a favorable recommendation, a non-favorable recommendation, or or a no recommendation,
You have to start with one of the favorable or unfavorable though.
favorable or unfavorable.
I'm not making a motion, just some random comments here that, and I appreciate the comments have been made relative to if you make a favorable recommendation. There's a lot of loose ends here, but on the other hand, there are a lot of loose ends that I don't think are appropriate to come back to this body to spend time at a public hearing on. Would a motion that generally talked about, not generally, that specifically talked about subject to infrastructure improvements as required by the county engineer and or the county, subject to route designations as approved by the county engineer, a limitation on no excavating, a limitation on there can be no more than 8 cement trucks on the site at one time. Provisions that there was some mention berm and vegetation being part of the site plan, subject to. I guess I make those comments from the standpoint, I see enough here to move forward if in fact you want to do a favorable recommendation. But on the other hand, you may have just enough there that you say this is not the appropriate place to do that. Now that I've rambled on, what do you want me to do next? Make a motion?
Well, I mean, I wasn't looking to have.
No, I know you were.
I was just, to me, I just feel like we're being asked to send something to the county council when they didn't even know that they had to improve streets and we're being asked to do something. So,
But I'm gonna add to Tom's and say this, that they took the time to pick a spot, knowing the least amount of conflict they would have to go through to have a portable plant put in somewhere. They didn't just go, oh, that's a good place. I mean, they took the time to look, to find a place. Try to put up a chicken farm. That you gotta go through IDEM, you gotta go through the county. Try to put up something agricultural that you have to go through getting all these permits and everything. And then let the county come at you and say, oh, you can't run a semi down that county road to get your product out of there. Now what do? You find an isolated place and then you turn around and get slapped with another bill that you didn't even see coming.
You bring up a good point.
But they're anticipating a lot of business.
chicken and concrete.
Chicken and concrete. Nobody wants them in the neighborhood. Nobody wants them in their backyard. They call that NIMBY in our world, not in my backyard.
So a recommendation can be made, correct, with,
You can make as part of your recommendation the conditions that you're recommending on it. Yes. The council doesn't necessarily have to take those, but you can make that part of your recommendation.
I keep looking at you. He wants to say something. I wish you'd have just walked up.
I'm gonna say we voted favorably on just the sure fact that where they wanna build all these buildings, they don't want the aggregate and concrete.
Is that your motion?
That's my motion. I vote motion, make a motion that we vote favorably.
Mr. Hawley?
Well, we need a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're stating, your motion is that we send it to the county council
With a
favorable recommendation.
with a favorable recommendation and let them deal with the issues of the consequences of the roads and.
That's not part of your motion? What you
No,
just said?
that's not part of my motion because we can't do nothing about that.
I'll give it 15 more seconds. I'm gonna need a second. Actually, I can second it, couldn't I?
You could.
Well, Bob Holly, I'm gonna go ahead and second it because I want to move on with this.
Okay, motion in a second.
Mr. Byers,
No.
Mr. Roush,
No.
Mr. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mr. Hawley,
Now, since I made the motion or the second, can I vote no?
You are allowed to.
I'm voting no.
Mr. Tavernier,
Oh, my word. So my motion is purely gonna be on that Sky in his office and everybody will do what is best for the roads, the county and the citizens. So I will vote yes, but that's a no 3-2, so.
So that one failed. So the next
so it
one has
failed.
to be unfavorable.
Correct.
Well, does it have to be unfavorable or favorable with the conditions that weren't included in the original motion?
It says the alternative, so I'm gonna go with, if you have a motion that would be favorable with conditions, you can do it. You just can't do no recommendation yet.
Okay.
Good, that's what, okay.
Then, Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a recommendation for approval, based on the staff recommendation and in addition, the following conditions. That a berm and vegetation plan be submitted and approved by the staff. That there be a limit of 8 cement trucks on the site at any one time. Subject to the
Slow down, Tom, slow down.
Oh, sorry.
Write this down. All right, 8 cement trucks.
Subject to all infrastructure improvements specified by the county engineer. Designated routes as specified by the county engineer. And no excavation of materials or mining on site.
Do I really have to repeat all that?
He was quite clear and specific, and so I'm gonna go with, you can just say that we have a motion for a favorable recommendation with the conditions as specified. I think that would be okay.
Okay, so we have a motion for a favorable recommendation with conditions specified by
Mr. Byers, yes.
Mr. Byers. Thank you.
With that being said, Bob Holly, I'll second that.
Mr. Roush,
Tom, although that was an incredibly well put motion, I think this is a bad location for this use and I say no.
Mr. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mr. Byers,
Yes.
Mr. Hawley,
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier.
Please don't follow me outside. But I am going to say yes. So that is a 4-1, based on the testimony presented here today. Area Board of Zoning and Appeals, after careful consideration, will send a favorable recommendation with conditions, presented by Tom and seconded by Bob Holly, and will issue written findings of the facts. Okay. Thank you.
Good call, Donnie.
Right. Feel like I'm the one that's gonna need security walking out of here.
Oh, we have some other business.
Yeah, findings of facts and you got other stuff?
Yep.
Okay.
If the crowd could wait to talk until they get in the hallway, that would be great.
Can you guys converse outside, please. Thank you.
Abby, can I make a motion, if I wasn't present at the meeting on the findings of the facts?
There's no reason why you can't.
I'm just trying to move things along.
We did have some, a correction from Donnie on findings of fact.
All right, Lance.
The third
Lance,
item,
hold
RF,
up here.
RPF Georgetown, page 137, the date and the opening line was incorrect. It says Tuesday again, but should have been Wednesday. Shelley's made that correction, right?
Yeah, correction's been made.
I missed it. You have to fix everyone individually, and I must have mixed that one. Or it was a previous version.
Fix your software. Yeah.
We're getting
We're
your.
doing it.
So Brandy, we need a motion on findings of fact, uh, as amended.
Bob Holly, I make a motion that we accept the findings of the facts on the property
No, for the findings of fact.
for the finding of the facts of Wednesday, November 15th, 2023, subject to the changes that were noted.
Donnie Ritzmel, second.
Lance is gone.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
We have no minutes to approve, but under other business, we are asking for you to approve the 2024 meeting schedule. Donnie, quality control, noted one error, the filing deadline that for the January meeting that was yesterday, that I think was also on our 2023 calendar. It should have been December 12th, 2020, what? 2023. So just asking for your approval of the 2024 calendar.
And that has been corrected as well.
So move. So again, as amended.
Yes.
Okay. Correct.
This doesn't appeal like with the election or anything in November or any, is there election in November?
We took those days.
Okay.
Yeah, we moved
Okay.
those days if it impeded.
One of them. This one says December 12th.
January 25 is wrong too.
Why?
What? Why?
That's the third Wednesday. On 2025.
No, that does go into.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does go into 2025 after that.
Yeah, but he's saying that.
Yeah, that is the third Wednesday.
So the second Wednesday.
So it should be January 14th
Don't confuse it. It should be January
or
8th.
January 15th.
8th.
Oh, 8th. Sorry about
8th.
that. Yes, January
You can't have any number bigger than 14.
Sid, I am proud of you.
8th.
Man.
Okay, asking for,
Man.
All these things that everybody says about you. Not me.
Not you.
right, so requesting your approval of the 2024 calendar with the corrections noted.
Okay,
Did Bob motion?
Bob.
I'll make that.
All right.
I'll second.
Thanks.
Oh, okay, well, we got three. So Tom, Bob, and Don.
Oh, I didn't realize he's, sorry.
All in favor?
Bye.
Aye.
All right, all opposed? All right. Anything else, Abby?
No.
All right, sorry that I could not talk today. Apologize for that.
Just looking for a motion to
I
adjourn.
need, yeah, I'm.
Bob Holly, I'll make a motion. We adjourn this meeting.
Sid Schaefer, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
There we go.